Okay, we're back. My name is John Dodds. This is the Pip and Dodds podcast. We're Pipless today. He's on assignment, and I have a special guest, Travis Diener. This podcast. We're going to send it across the internet, but we'll also have it at my site, marquettehoops.com, part of the 24/7 CBS network. Travis, we're talking about really when you started at Marquette. Can you talk about the 2001-2002 season? You came in, and Cordell Henry was the point guard, and you were kind of a two guard backup point guard hybrid. Can you talk about working with Cordell Henry, learning the offense, the adjustment to college?
Yeah, I mean it was a tough transition. I think anyone that comes from high school to college that first year can be difficult. And for me, Coach Green never promised me anything, never promised me a starting role, and that was important. He didn't bull crap me that way. He's like, we have this point guard. He's an all conference type point guard. You'll come in, you'll learn from him, you'll try to incorporate the things he does, but you're going to play a lot. And Cordell taught me a lot, and he helped me in practice because I had to go against him every day, and he was a 5'6" lightning quick guard, which is kind of the exact opposite of me. So it made me better defensively. It made me better with the ball because he's such a great on-ball defender. And I thought, when we did play together, we complemented each other extremely well because, he could get in the paint. I could spot up and make shots. And overall, I thought I had a great freshman year as a team. We did extremely well. We just came up, a game short of winning the conference title. And then obviously in the tournament, we got upset. But overall, I think that was, obviously the springboard of Marquette basketball and where we're at today.
The coming out party really was the Great Alaska Shootout. And you guys went up there, and I know you weren't rated. There's Indiana, there was Tennessee, there was a bunch of the teams that were rated more highly than Marquette, and nobody knew who Dwayne Wade was. And talk about that. In fact, there was one game that wasn't televised. It was before Thanksgiving, you were playing Tennessee. People tell me that the best move they've ever seen Dwayne Wade make was a move in the open court in transition against Tennessee. And the Tennessee people, they're just absolutely wowed when they saw it. Do you remember the play? Can you describe it?
I don't remember that particular play,
okay.
But I mean, obviously playing with Dwayne, we saw a million of them, whether it was in practice when nobody was there or games that weren't televised. So, Dwayne made plays that seemed kind of unfair that he'd be able to make them. But, that's how he was. It's hard to explain his type of game because, like you said, like in college, he wasn't a great jump shooter. And the way he could, float the ball and use the backboard, he had incredible footwork. Obviously, his long arms helped tremendously, but he would make, plays daily that, us as teammates were just wowed by. And at a certain point, we're like, yeah, this guy won't be here very long.
Yeah, my father was a basketball coach at Marquette High School in Tulsa East, and he would rather see a good jump stop and bounce pass on a break than a 360 jam. He was kind of an old school fundamental guy, and he had Marquette basketball tickets. And during your era, he would come to the game, and he said, "All I do is watch Dwayne Wade." And I'm absolutely amazed. Just a dribble handoff where he does he executes a Bob Beamon jump from Mexico City and goes 29 feet and hands it off to Travis Diener to start the play. Even the small things were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, what people don't understand about Dwayne is he was extremely athletic. I mean, he was a genetic freak, but he was really fundamental with the way he played. Like, he was a great passer, had incredible footwork, had great balance. So you don't just get to be like top 25, top 30 of all time in the NBA without being really fundamental. That's what I think people don't realize is there's a million guys out there that have the genetic ability of Dwayne, but he put it all together. And he turned out to be a great mid-range jump shooter. He's got incredible, like I said, he's got incredible footwork. He's unselfish. Another thing that a lot of the guys, a lot of the guys that are the greatest of all time are extremely unselfish. But what separates those guys is they're willing to make the pass. They're willing to make their teammates better. And that's what Dwayne did.
At the end of that year, you played Tulsa down in St. Louis. And at the end of that game, it was tie score. Tulsa made 2 free throws. And rather than calling timeout, there's about 10 seconds to go. Crean called the elbow play. And that was, I knew that was designed for Wade to go one-on-one on the left side, and then you come around to double pick for a 3-point winner on the right side of the court. And can you describe the tension? Nobody can really describe the tension that if you're not used to NCAA tournament play, you get into that pressure-packed situation. And I remember Cordell Henry dribbling the ball off. His eyes were as big as silver dollars. And then he passed it to Wade, and Wade kind of was the same way. And Cordell Henry went to the left side. He threw it to Henry, and then you came around the pick, and by the time Henry got it to you, you threw like a 30-footer up and rolled it out, and they lost the game. And Steve the Homer True and I talked to Dwayne Wade at the end at the press conference, the press day for his second year, your sophomore year, and he said, "I didn't want the ball at the end of the Tulsa game, and I lived with that in every drill I had all summer, and that will never happen again in my basketball career. That I'm going to be nervous at the end of a game." And he just kind of walked away. And I remember looking at Homer, and we looked at each other and went, "Oh, is there going to be something happening here this year?"
I think you said it perfectly about the end of that game and the eyes of, Dwayne and Cordell. They had never really played. Cordell had never played in an NCAA tournament game. Dwayne, growing up, never really played in those types of games because, in AAU, he really wasn't playing a lot. He was the 8th or 9th man. So when you get in those situations, it takes experience. And anyone will tell you that at the end of games, obviously it is very nerve-wracking, but that's what you play for. So, I remember that play vividly. I got the ball kind of just at the last second, had to throw up a prayer. It was an air ball. We lost the game. And everyone was saying, Dwayne isn't clutch. He isn't that guy you want the ball with at the end of games. And he took that very personal. And I remember him that summer. I remember him early in the next season. He would have the ball at the end of games. And even a couple times early in that season, he at least tried to make the play, but he failed. And he was taking that really personal. And then all of a sudden, as you get that experience and you get that, I think he got that I don't care factor anymore. Like, I don't care. I'm going to try to do what I do. And, at the end of that, the Final Four year, there was nobody better at the end of games than him. And that carried over to the NBA where, he was lights out, when it mattered most.
In that year, 2002, 2003, you started off, and Rick Majerus was kind of at the old gym that whole summer. His mom, he took a year off because his mom had breast cancer. So I've never heard of a coach doing that, but Rick took that whole summer off to be with his mom. So Crean he asked Crean if he could come down and watch you guys. And he was absolutely amazed at how good Dwayne Wade was, how good your Moxie was at point guard, and how good Robert Jackson was. Rick was always a big believer. And he sent some letters out, one to Bill Cords. He showed it to me that he predicted that you guys had a Final Four team that year. And I thought it was a pretty darn good prediction. Do you remember him at practices at all, or that year at the gym?
Oh yeah, because I knew Coach because he recruited me very hard. Coming out of high school, I took an official visit to Utah. So, and then at that time, he had obviously, was dealing with some personal issues with his mom, and then he was doing a lot of broadcasting and stuff like that. So I remember him always being around and always being very complimentary towards our team. And, I don't know if there's a guy that just from an X's and O's standpoint, knows more than knew more than Coach Majerus.
Yeah.
Just an excellent basketball mind. So when he says something like that, or when he says like this could be a Final Four team, that gives us confidence. Like, well, if this guy who's done all this in his career thinks that we're that good, well, that's important, and that means we have a high expectation, a high ceiling for our team.
When you started off the year, you lost at Dayton, at Notre Dame, and at East Carolina. And the East Carolina game was probably the most disappointing one. But then something happened, and I was a close observer of your game, and you were a very solid point guard during November and December. But what happened in your game? Because you then took it up about 3 levels for the rest of the year. Did you feel more confident? Did you feel that you were playing better at the end of that time?
Yeah, I think coming into this season that year, the big question mark on our team was, can Travis be the point guard? We have Dwayne coming back, we have Rob coming in, so we're kind of set. But we lost Cordell, so can Travis be a pure point guard? Because the previous year I played a lot of 2 guard. Everyone knew I could shoot really well, but can he be the point guard? Can he run the team? And the start of the year was okay in my eyes. Like, I was playing okay, but I wasn't really making shots. I was getting wide open shots. The thing is, I'd never gotten as many wide open shots in my career as I did that year, just playing with Dwayne. And I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't comfortable taking wide open shots because I never comfortable. But once, my teammates and Crean, they, just exude confidence in me. It kind of just took off, and, I was happy with the way, obviously I think we're all happy with the way the season ended. But even from an individual standpoint, I felt like, you just continue to gain confidence, and that's kind of what happened.
So then you win Conference USA, and Conference USA was pretty darn good. It was Cincinnati. They had some Louisville. There were some really good teams that year. And you get to the Conference USA tournament, and you lose to a UAB team that had 94 feet of hell or whatever press that they had. And I remember people were really kind of shocked that happened, that the champions were launched in the first game. But I remember Al McGuire would always say, for goodness sakes, you play for the NCAA title, these conference tournaments, why risk life and limb so your team can win a little piece of wood with some brass on top of it? He said, get out of there. And I thought that loss might have been a really good thing, where you could prepare. Talk about that loss and then what you did the next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think in hindsight, obviously, it makes sense that it worked out for us because we went to the Final Four. I mean, if we would have lost the first game to Holy Cross, it wouldn't have looked the same. But it gave us time to go back and rest, take a couple days off. I always thought the conference tournament was kind of overblown. I mean, I think winning a regular season championship is much more important and much more difficult. You're going through 20 games, home and away, within your conference. If you can do that, that's a major accomplishment. And we did that. And in that first game, we didn't play well. I think we had 30 turnovers in that game. I remember Dwayne being really bad that day. But we went back. I know Crean gave us a couple days off, which was very unusual, but it kind of relaxed us. It got us in the right frame of mind to get ready for, what our ultimate goal was, and that was to win games in the tournament. And it ended up working out, perfectly for us.
Sure. We're going to end this segment. We're talking with Travis Diener. We'll be back for the next segment after this.